Okay, Mom.
What's up?
What up, everybody? We are back.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, baby.
Did you guys subscribe to the channel? Listen, if you guys have already subscribed, can you tell a friend to tell a friend
To tell a friend.
to tell a friend?
Like share
To
on
tell
your,
an aunt.
share on your stories, share at your kitty parties,
Facts.
share everywhere.
Please, guys.
Please.
You'll get so much amazing content from us and it'll just keep rolling through. So please subscribe to the channel. Please give us those 5 stars on Spotify. We would really, really appreciate it. Those numbers also mean a lot to us. It kind of bumps us in categories in terms of podcasts. So that really means a lot to us. Follow us on socials. You know where we are, TikTok and Instagram. And welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, guys. Today, we are bringing back a segment that is very loved by all of you. And this segment is called Fazool and Fire. Not fire, fire.
Which means...
Which means we're doing the segment in Urdu, guys.
Guys, give me a second. Let me have a sip of my coffee. I don't think I'm ready for this.
Okay. Don't get your chadiyan in a bunch. Let's go. Okay, are you going to go first or am I going to go first?
Okay, aap pehle karo.
Okay. Oh man, I need to put my Urdu cap on.
Yeah, I know.
It's so
This is what I
hard.
mean. Guys, this is like actually a thing. Sometimes it free flows and sometimes you need to
Sometimes it
really
doesn't.
get in it.
I think I should have walked in speaking in Urdu and then
I should have called my mom before we started recording.
I tried to pick up my phone. Okay. Fazool ya fire, teende. पहले ये बताओ टींडे होते क्या हैं मुझे तो अभी तक नहीं पता
एक किस्म की सब्जी है.
हाँ सब्जी तो है
हाँ.
क्या है
Like
English में उसको क्या कहते
बैगन.
हैं?
I don't know.
नहीं,
English
बैगन तो नहीं
But उस किस्म की family है.
हाँ उस किस्म की फैमिली
हाँ,
it's
like
not the same as like a
बैगन.
tori
नहीं.
tori is
Is it
different
zucchini?
नहीं
टींडे
कोई
क्या
हमें
है?
बताए टींडे क्या हैं मैंने खाए हुए हैं और
It's okay.
kind of फजूल हैं
Oh,
इतने भी
okay.
अच्छे नहीं हैं
थोड़ी सी slimy है.
हाँ मगर अगर तो सही तरह से पके हुए हैं तो फिर शायद कभी जब बहुत भूख लगती है ना तो फिर तो मुझे कुछ भी दे दिया करो
अब तो मैं बंदा भी खा लूं पकड़ के.
yes
Okay, Fazool or fire? Ruh Afza.
fire
Fire.
fire
Okay, दूध के साथ या पानी के साथ?
oh दोनों बहुत अच्छे हैं okay
Okay.
see दूध के अंदर it's like जब मैं सोचती हूँ कि मैं रूह अफ़ज़ा दूध में पीऊंगी फिर मुझे याद आती है फलूदे की और मुझे फलूदा बहुत पसंद है and फलूदा without रूह अफ़ज़ा वो फलूदा है ही नहीं
नहीं,
okay?
वो फजूला है.
वो फजूला है That's so funny. वो फजूला है जो अरूज ने आज नया लफ्ज क्रिएट किया है ठीक है मगर मुझे पानी में भी बहुत पसंद है ओके मगर ओके मेरी जो एक सहेली है ना उसने एक दफा हमारे लिए रूह अफ़ज़ा बनाया था और उसने उसके अंदर पानी रूह अफ़ज़ा एंड देन नींबू
Yes.
like lime not lemon lime and then पुदीना
I know.
oh my
जब
god
आ रही थी तो वो बना के लाई थी और उस दिन से मैं रूह अफ़ज़ा किसी और तरीके से नहीं पी सकती.
मैं नहीं पी सकती मैं नहीं उस तरह पी सकती I
मुझे
cannot.
दूध में इतनी नहीं पसंद लेकिन पानी में और ऐसे नींबू डाल के और पुदीना
बहुत
डाल के
refreshing है.
हाँ लाइक स्वीट लेमनेड.
हाँ मगर पता नहीं किस स्पंजी
रूह अफ़ज़ा स्पंज.
मगर पता नहीं वो किस चीज से बना हुआ है
पता नहीं.
probably अच्छी चीजें नहीं है उसके इंग्रेडिएंट्स
हाँ.
बहुत बुरे होंगे मगर वैसे it's like a यादगार thing from your childhood. Yeah,
और
बचपन
स्पेशली
की यादें.
रमजान में
हाँ oh
जब
my goodness.
इतनी प्यास लगती
या
है.
समर टाइम में समर को क्या कहते हैं उर्दू में बहार नो
हैं?
बहार
मुझे
is
नहीं
spring
पता. I actually don't know my
सर्दी
seasons in
is
Urdu.
winter
सर्दी वो तो
सर्दी
तो
बहार
सर्दी है.
no there is a word क्या है लफ्ज समर का उर्दू में आप हमें बताएं okay फजूल या फायर पकोड़े
Fire.
oh fire oh so
Fire. Fire.
हाय मुझे इतने पसंद है
मुझे पकोड़े
Oh my
बहुत
God.
पसंद है. It's actually a weakness, guys. Like
है,
if somebody
definitely.
अगर मैं कहीं जा रही हूँ और कोई फ्रेश कढ़ाई से निकाल रहा है ना बस मेरे मुंह में बहुत पानी आता है.
हाँ मेरे तो अभी मुंह में पानी आता
मेरे
है
खुद.
स्पेशली अगर तो बाहर बारिश हो रही हो ना या ठंड है बाहर Oh my God.
चाय के साथ
चाय के साथ crispy crunchy वाले, soft वाले नहीं.
नहीं
soft
नहीं
वाले
नहीं सॉफ्ट वाले हम सिर्फ कड़ी में डालते हैं.
हाँ.
ओके लेकिन जब ऐसे ही खा रहे हो
Oh, crunch.
एक्स्ट्रा क्रंच और
प्याज.
ज्यादा
और
प्याज.
मुझे लगता है जब मैं साग डालती हूँ ना अंदर प्याज और स्पिनच साग ही है.
हाँ
स्पिनच
या पालक है
पता नहीं जो भी मैं स्पिनच डालती हूँ काट के.
Okay.
स्पिनच, प्याज एंड देन आलू.
कभी बैंगन डाले
नहीं.
इतने मजे के हैं बैंगन के पकोड़े elite.
Oh my God, मेरे मुंह में पानी
बहुत
आ रहा
मजे
है.
के. एंड मैं एक दो दफा गई हूँ कहीं जो वो they take the batter okay और वो ब्रेड डिप
या
करते हैं
नान.
या नान के अंदर
Oh,
और वो
so
ब्रेड
good.
पकोड़ा बनाते हैं.
वो बहुत मजेदार.
so good बिस्मिल्लाह स्वीट्स.
Oh my goodness. या मिर्चों वाले पकौड़े.
मिर्चों वाले भी बहुत अच्छे हैं.
और इमली की चटनी के साथ और वो जो पुदीने की चटनी होती है ना. Oh my God. Somebody
कोई हमें डिलीवर कर दे.
please बना दो.
Fire.
Fire.
Okay, फजूल और फायर. Uggs.
Fire. Sorry. मैं कहती हूँ इसलिए मुझे फायर लगते हैं क्योंकि मेरे पैर बहुत जल्दी ठंडे हो जाते हैं.
मेरे खुद हाँ.
और आग से पता नहीं क्या उनके अंदर है. पता नहीं कौन सी
पता नहीं किस एनिमल की बनी हुई है.
how do you say sheep? Not बकरी. It is a बकरी, right? No,
बकरी?
बकरी is a goat. Sheep, lamb. Lamb, okay? हमें हमारी
हमें
मदद
नहीं
करें.
पता.
हमें नहीं पता. आप हमारी
This
मदद
is
करें.
mix and match
okay?
Urdu and
हाँ,
English.
mix match उर्दू इंग्लिश है ये. Okay. वो लैम का जो होता है ना फर वो उनके अंदर लाइन हुआ होता है. और हमारी विंटर जो कनाडा की सर्दी होती है ना वो
घटिया तरीन
सर्दी. ओके लाइक कोई बाहर नहीं निकलता घर से. और ड्राइव भी करना इट्स सच अ.
लेकिन वो खराब कितनी जल्दी होते हैं.
बहुत जल्दी खराब होती है क्योंकि उनके ऊपर वो नमक सा आ जाता है. और
हाँ.
कभी कभी ना उनके अंदर पानी भी चला
पानी
जाता है. और
में-
वो मुझे
हाँ.
बहुत बुरा लगता है.
और मेरा ये है कि मेरे पास पहले थे ना और वो I didn't have the boots. I had the moccasins, right? और वो इतना नमक उस पे लग गया था कि वो साफ भी नहीं हुए. Even though I had the cleaner, वो नहीं हो रहे थे मेरे से.
मैंने एक
But
दफा
बहुत मेरे पैर गर्म रहते हैं.
हाँ पैर बहुत गर्म रहते हैं. वो बहुत अगली लगते हैं. मैं मानती हूँ कि
Uggs is
वो
short
अगली
form.
लगते हैं. ओके
Short form for ugly.
short form for ugly. मगर मैं आज तक पहनती रहूंगी.
और लेकिन जो मेरे सही विंटर वाले बूट्स
वो
है ना
boots हैं.
वो अग से मैंने लिए हैं.
हाँ.
और वो इट्स लाइक रियल विंटर बूट.
हाँ आई नो
वो तो indestructible. साल हो गए वो नहीं मैं छोड़ूंगी.
वो तो तुम किसी के सर पे फेंक सकती हो. वो मर जाएगा बंदा.
कोई मुझे अगर पब्लिक में देखे ना वो लगेगा कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्कर आ गई है. इतने भारी जूते हैं वो.
long lasting
bombastic fantastic.
ओके फजूल या फायर बचपन की चपेड़ें.
फजूल इतनी क्यों लगती थी.
ओके मैं कहती हूँ कि शायद हमें जरूरत थी थोड़ी.
मुझे तो बहुत जरूरत थी. मैं तो कह रही हूँ कि
मैं ये नहीं कहती कि मैं कंडोन करती हूँ क्योंकि नहीं अच्छी बात नहीं है. किसी को चपेड़े नहीं मारनी चाहिए. मगर मैं कहती हूँ कोई बच्चों को जरूरत होती है.
ओके पर अब मुझे लगता है कि कोई बड़ों को भी जरूरत लगती है.
बड़ों को सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत.
कभी कभी जब वो कोई बदतमीजी करते हैं ना तो दिल करता है जोर से लगाऊं.
मगर लगा नहीं सकते.
नहीं लगा सकते. अपनी माइंड में लगा.
हाँ अपने दिमाग में हम लगा सकते हैं मगर हम एक्चुअली फिजिकली नहीं लगा सकते. वैसे मैं अग्री करती हूँ कोई लोगों को बहुत जरूरत होती है. बहुत ज्यादा जरूरत.
कोई लोग वो भी होते हैं जो जब आप ग्रोसरी करने जाते हैं ना तो इतनी वो बदतमीजी करते हैं.
Oh my God,
okay?
I know.
वो बेचारी कैशियर भी डरी होती है. उसको बोलना भी नहीं आता. फिर वो हर चीज गलत कर रही है और वो इतने इम्पेशेंट है.
स्पेशली अगर तो कोई प्राइस मैच कर रहा है ना. Oh my
और इतनी
God.
फिर गालियां निकालने लगते हैं.
Oh
फिर
my
मेरा
God.
बहुत दिल करता है कि मैं चक्के मारू एक.
रख के टिक के
मारू एक.
या मुझे लगता है कि बचपन में ऑब्वियसली अच्छी फीलिंग नहीं थी. मुझे बहुत डर लगता था
खुद.
मगर मैं कहती हूँ कि शायद हम थोड़ा सा डर अच्छा भी होता है कभी
लाइन पे भी आना होता है.
ज्यादा डर नहीं कि लाइक कोई लाइक बहुत ज्यादती कर रहा है. बट लाइक अगर तो
लोग अगर मेरी अम्मी ने इतनी मेहनत से पुलाव बनाया है
हाँ
और फिर मैं जो हरकतें कर रही हूँ उसकी वजह से वो पुलाव गिर गया है और फिर उन्होंने मुझे एक छांटी मारी है. अब मैं क्या करूँ?
मैं खुद तुम्हें मारती.
हाँ, क्योंकि वो 4 घंटे से बना रही हैं
या 4 घंटों का पुलाव और तुमने गिरा दिया.
और मैंने गिरा दिया है.
अल्लाह, oh my goodness.
गुस्सा तो चढ़ेगा ना.
मुझे तो खुद गुस्सा चढ़ रहा है अभी.
Okay, फजूल और फायर. मैचिंग कपल्स आउटफिट्स. अब उर्दू में मैं ये कैसे बोलूं? जब हिज एंड हर आउटफिट सेम हो.
Like तुम कह रही हो कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं जाती हूँ शादी पर, मैंने लाल सूट
हाँ.
पहना हुआ है और मेरा मियाँ लाल पहन रहा है.
हाँ.
जो मैं जिसके साथ मैं हूँ.
हाँ, या वो ऐसे कर रहे हैं ना जैसे
आय हाय,
कॉर्नर के नीचे लाल है.
हम 2001 में नहीं है. प्लीज ओके, अगर तो आपने करनी है ना मैचिंग, सटल मैचिंग. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर तो मैंने लाल पहना हुआ है ओके और मैं अपनी भाई के शादी पे जा रही हूँ, तो अगर तो उसने सफेद शर्ट पहनी हुई है तो वो लाल फूल लगा सकता है एज अ courtesy. मगर मैं कभी भी नहीं उसको कहूँगी लाल शर्ट पहने. ओ माय गॉड, मैं तो देख नहीं सकती.
अगर वो लाल सूट पहन के आ गया.
नहीं, ना
चिट्टा सूट लाल शर्ट.
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं. हम आपको फैशन की बातें बता रहे हैं. प्लीज इस तरह की चीजें ना करें. ओके,
मुझे नहीं पसंद. हल्की सी मैचिंग हो तो सही है.
लाइक पॉकेट स्क्वायर.
हाँ, या सेम शेड.
हाँ.
यू नो, बट नॉट
किस तरह का shade?
इतना लाइक.
क्या मतलब?
ओके, फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर मैंने ईद पे पहना हुआ है नेवी ब्लू
हाँ.
एंड देन लाइक मेरे बच्चों ने या मेरे हस्बैंड ने पहना हुआ है लाइक अ नाइस डेनिम आउटफिट.
No, but that's different because color का भी डिपेंड होता है.
हाँ.
Right, like for
सही है, सही
example, अगर तुमने ब्लैक पहना है और आपका मियाँ ब्लैक पहनता है, देन वो ठीक है.
हाँ.
जो बेसिक कलर तुमने नेवी ब्लू, ग्रे, ब्लैक, व्हाइट, ठीक है.
वो ठीक है.
मगर अगर तुमने पिंक या पर्पल पहना हुआ और वो ऊपर से पिंक और पर्पल पहन रहा है, oh
बार्नी आ गया. बार्नी.
I can't. Like a little bit of like, you know, like why don't you just white पहन लो, सफेद पहन लो,
सही है.
काली कमीज पहन लो,
हाँ.
काला कुर्ता. Oh my goodness.
काला कुर्ता is elite.
Okay, फजूल या फायर देसी गाने.
Fire.
Fire.
और हर किस्म का गाना.
हर किस्म.
उर्दू,
कवाली,
पाकिस्तानी, कवाली,
पंजाबी,
बॉलीवुड, पंजाबी,
बॉलीवुड, लॉलीवुड, डॉलीवुड, वरा जोन से भी होते हैं ना, like
डॉलीवुड क्या है?
पता नहीं, मुझे नहीं पता.
देसी बॉलीवुड.
Sometimes मैं कहती हूँ कि you know that song why this Kolaveri, that
Kolaveri,
song is
Kolaveri,
वो
the-
song इतना catchy है. What is that? Tamil song है?
I think so.
Love.
एक और भी था. It's on TikTok right now. It's like trending a lot and I think it's
By the
Tamil.
Same person है?
नहीं, कोई और है लेकिन बहुत प्यारा गाना है.
Okay, see, मैं सब देसी गाने पसंद करती हूँ.
तो-
साउथ एशियन गाने elite हैं.
जो न्यू सीजन कोक स्टूडियो का निकला है
Oh
उसमें
my
कितनी
God.
languages है लेकिन हर गाना इतना जबरदस्त है.
हर गाने ने slap किया है. Okay,
that was the end of our
that
segment.
was the end of our Fazool and Fire Urdu.
That was hard. I felt like मेरा मुंह टेढ़ा हो रहा था
हाँ,
कभी-कभी ना
मेरी-
बोलने में.
मेरी उर्दू को इतनी प्रैक्टिस चाहिए, मैं शर्मिंदा होके बैठी हुई हूँ. अब मैं वापस जाके इस एपिसोड को देखूंगी और मैं सर पकड़ूंगी अपना बैठ के कि हाय ला, कुछ नहीं
मैं
मैंने
क्या
सीखा
कह रही
नहीं है,
थी?
कुछ नहीं सीखा मैंने. All right, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
So, guys, we asked the audience a very big question.
It was a very big question.
It was a deep question.
A question that required a lot of self-reflecting, I would say.
Yeah. And the question we asked was,
What is your biggest regret? Thank you guys all for sharing because this is, like many of our topics, something that's not easy to share.
yeah, it's not.
And I think when you end up sometimes self-reflecting, you can feel like, you know, when you go down a rabbit hole and you kind of like regret decisions in your life and it makes you sad and you're kind of looking at where you are. And we're really hoping that didn't happen with you guys
Yeah.
when we did ask the question because that was not the intention.
Yeah.
However, you guys gave us some great answers. And some of them I was like, I can see that.
I could see it too. And I think when we were going through the answers, I felt very like, oh my God, me too. Oh my God,
Yeah.
me too. Oh my God, me too. So many of those types of moments where it was like, I think as desi girls and like even as like desi guys, like just having that experience of being raised up as like South Asian kids, you have so many collective experiences. But I also think that like, hey, it's great that people realize those things and say, yeah, that's a big regret in my life, so I'm going to change that.
Yeah.
Forward,
Yeah. And I think because we've had collective experiences, a lot of our regrets are the same too.
I think so too.
And I think that's just what I gathered from reading some of the responses.
Yeah,
right?
Me too. So before we get started, why don't you tell me what's your biggest regret?
I wish I stood up for myself a little bit more growing up, because I just didn't. I feel like I took a lot of negativity, negative comments, bullying, and I just took it and walked away without ever talking back, without ever saying anything, without ever defending myself. And it really stuck with me. And I find even now, if somebody says something or I'm in a situation where I feel like I'm uncomfortable, it takes a lot for me to unlearn that and try and say something for myself. Sometimes I can say it successfully, but this is also like, I feel like I'm much older now. So if I say something, I'm not necessarily going to have somebody say something back now. You know what I mean? But I do find, I wish I just had a little bit more confidence and I just believed in myself a little bit more.
Oh man, that's like such a good one because I feel like a lot of people feel very like similar to what you're saying.
And you just feel so lost and confused when you're younger and you're like, I don't know where I'm going. I have this, you know, when you have a list of goals, like, oh, by this age, I want to do this. By this age, I want to be married. By this age, I want to have kids. By this age, I should have graduated. By this age, I should have a job. And then you are that age and none of those things have come to fruition.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there being like, I'm 23 and I still have a semester to go. I didn't get a job. I don't know what I'm going to do after I have my degree because nobody's going to hire me because I don't have 16 years of experience.
Yeah.
And I don't have a partner. I'm single. I'm living with my parents. So absolutely nothing came true.
Yeah.
You just sit there like, where did I go wrong?
Yeah. And then I think other people make you feel like that too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because they keep hounding you.
Badgering,
What are you doing next? What are you going to do next? But what are you doing now? But why did you decide to do this? But why didn't you decide to do this? Right? So it's a lot of that. What about you?
That makes a lot of sense. I think for me, it's like sometimes I tell myself like, you know what? I think having regrets is like a part of human nature and stuff. But I also feel like maybe those things had to happen for me to be where I am today.
Definitely.
Because you like it is a very it's amazing. I think that we were all able to learn something from it, right? But I think my biggest regret is probably just like having to like dim my own light just to make people comfortable. Like to like not be able to be myself because it was always like a comparison thing. Like you should be more like this. You should be more like that. You should be more like this. Like, you know, I think for desi girls, it's always this thing about like, don't be too loud. Don't laugh too loud. Like, don't be, too, you know, like don't talk too much, don't dress a certain way, all these don'ts. And then sometimes it really like dims your own light and you're not able to express yourself, whether it be through like fashion or art or whatever it is. So I think like listening to people say that to you and then constantly being like, oh yeah, I need to be more like this person so that everyone will love me.
Yeah.
Like that type of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the biggest, that's my biggest regret because I'm just like, oh my God, everyone is so unique. Like everyone has a spot to shine in this world. And when people say that to like anyone, it just dims their light so much as an individual. And then they try so hard to be something that they're not. And they can't be that. They can't be another person. They are them. So if people could just kind of be more like push people to just live authentically and be who they are, it would be so much better because then you get this level of confidence in yourself that I'm amazing just the way I am.
Do you have moments in your life where you remember that you started to make that light a little bit brighter for you?
Yeah, I do. I feel like when I started doing makeup, because I think when I first started, it was like, why are you doing it? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And another thing is like posting on social media.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Because if I'm being real, like I feel like my parents are very conservative, right? And so I don't think that it was something that they would be like, yes, post on social media. But for me, it's like a way to express my creativity, right? And I don't think that and I feel like I used to do all these like Halloween looks and all this stuff. And I don't think you can express it like social media is a great tool too, right? Like, who would I show this artistic skill to if I wasn't showing it anywhere else? You know what I
Seriously.
mean? So sometimes you're just like, no, like I know that I have a talent and I want to express it. And you doubt yourself so much, girl. You doubt yourself so much. You're just like, I'm not good enough. Oh no, I have to keep going, but this person's so much better than me. And then you just like, sometimes you're just like, I don't care. Like, I'm just going to do it. Like, I'm just going to do it. And then you do it. And then something changes in you.
Yeah.
Like you develop like a level of self-confidence. I think that happens as well when you, going to your point of like, when you do say something back to somebody, then like you kind of do build a level of confidence that you're like, hold on, I could do this again.
Yeah. And you know when especially if somebody says something to you that's so out of line.
Yeah.
Right? Or something that's totally out of your control. Like, you know, a lot of you have messaged us saying you gave birth and then people commented on your weight and how like you literally gave birth a week ago and they're like, you haven't lost your baby weight yet. And when you can find something to say back, then you feel good because you don't feel like you need anybody to defend you anymore because you have it in you to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And that is such a big tool that I think brown girls and possibly brown guys, we were never taught that.
Never.
You're never taught to learn how to defend yourself physically, emotionally, socially, in any aspect of your life. So I think when you find outlets like social media where you're able to express your creativity, find a community that shares that and appreciates your work, understands how much time it takes you to make those looks. Because we all know it's like an 8-hour process.
Oh, it's a long process, man.
And social media in itself, it's a full-time job.
Yeah, it is.
So to be able to maintain that, I find that's like truly inspiring to be able to, you know, brighten that dimmed light a little bit.
Yeah, and I think we all need that. Like, it doesn't even have to be through like social media, right? Like, you could express your creativity and your strengths in so many different ways. But sometimes, like even this podcast, guys, even this podcast, let's just have a real moment for a second. Us coming out here and like putting ourselves out there and just saying things. I know like some people, they have this assumption that like, oh, we're just like that. We're just these mutor girls that do not care. Okay.
Sometimes
no repercussions.
Sometimes we are.
Sometimes we are, but like the truth
Generally,
is
we're not.
No, and I think when we started,
Yeah.
okay, we were very timid.
We were.
And we were just like, oh my goodness, like, how is this gonna come off? What's gonna happen? But then you do it, and then you realize that like, why are we not saying it?
Yeah.
Why are we not saying it?
Because it's actually what we're thinking.
Yeah. And then it's also just like, so many people are going through this. Sometimes when you're young and you're going through hard times, you're like, I just want someone to relate to.
Yes.
Someone that I can be like, yo, they actually understand.
Yep.
You know, because sometimes the parents don't understand, the siblings don't understand.
Your
So
friends don't
your
understand.
friends don't understand. And I think back to, and I'm like, there's so many people that have messaged us and said, oh my God, I wish that we had something like this when we were younger. And girl, I wish we had something like this when we were younger too.
I agree.
And that's on facts. I wish that
also
too.
wish we had something like this when I was on my mat leaves.
Girl,
Because my mat leaves were so hard. Okay. I know that people who know me thought my mat leaves were so smooth and like I had it all under control, but the inner thoughts were so rough.
oh my God. Yeah. And I'm one of those girls that was like, Uruje has shit on lock. I was one of those girls.
Yeah. And like a lot of people, because I feel like a lot of people would ask me, what did you do during this? And I was, sometimes I'm like, I don't remember. And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to remember because those times were so hard. But do you have any idea how much I wish I could just put my AirPods in and listen to somebody that would brighten my day?
Yeah. Or like relate.
And it wasn't until I discovered Shits and Gigs in my last mat leave where I finally like found people who I've made me laugh. Not that it was relatable content because it's not, y'all know, it's not relatable, but it was just funny. And it was really nice for me to see like two friends have really good banter.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I was like hooked and I was like, okay, so podcasts might be the thing that I want to do. And that's how I discovered the realm of podcasts, right?
Yeah.
And then we went out and I was like, all right, Hina.
But you also told me about Shits and Gigs that night.
I did.
Well.
I did.
And you were like, you have to listen to this episode. And I remember I put it on and I was like, yo,
these guys were funny.
guys are wild.
Because they just do it. But and you know what it was? It was like anytime I was feeling like I didn't get sleep that night before.
Yeah.
Okay? And then I wake up and all the bottles need to be washed and all the things need to be done. And I finally put my youngest down for a nap.
Yeah.
I would put my AirPods in, guys, and I would take an hour to just like tap out.
Yeah.
And listen to some guys talking smack on a mic.
Yeah.
But it was just funny and it kept me entertained and it put me in a good mood. And I think that's what this podcast also does for us, because guys, sometimes when I have a rough week,
Oh, man.
I message Hina and I literally say to her, I'm like, I cannot wait to see you when we record because I
know.
need it.
I know. And sometimes even for me, like I'll come here and I'll be down and then like we'll just sit and record and you have the biggest high,
Right?
Because you're just laughing. And honestly, I think what it is just like laughter
Yes.
around people that you feel safe with.
Oh yeah.
Like that's what it is. Like you feel like this is like a nice friendship and like I feel comfortable around you where I don't have to always have my guard up. That's a big thing. Because if I was doing this with people that I didn't feel like, I felt like they did not reciprocate the energy.
Yeah.
Or they were like shady friends, I don't think I would feel the same.
No way.
I would leave.
The podcast would
yeah,
continue.
the podcast would be over after week 1.
Yeah.
So I think that that's like, it's so special that, it's there and like that relationship is there too.
I definitely feel like you and I both have blossomed since the podcast.
Girl.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. I think you guys can agree.
Yeah.
The blossoming has happened in full force.
Yeah, seriously. Because it's definitely helped us shine.
Yeah.
And maybe discover ourselves a little bit too as individuals.
I feel like I've seen that with you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like I've felt that with me too. And I think a lot of it is because you are able to say things that maybe you normally would not say.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talk about things that are just some topics are so taboo that we wouldn't normally be sitting in front of people talking about it.
Exactly.
And now that we say it, it's just built this level of confidence that you're like, no, I am going to talk about it. Yeah, this does freaking suck.
Yeah.
Okay, it does suck.
It's also like a lot of the topics, I feel like for a number of years in my life, I thought a lot of these things were normal.
Me too.
Okay. And then when you and I talk about it out loud, I'm like, this is not normal.
It's not.
We should not be having so many people message us about the exact same experience.
Yeah. And also sometimes when people are sharing like horrible things that have happened to them, you're just like, oh my God. Your perception of people is just like everyone's living this amazing life. And then you're like, wow, like everyone is going through some struggle and it is rough for everyone out there. I don't care who you are.
Yep.
I don't care if you're in $1 million yacht. Like, I don't care. Okay. Everyone is going through a struggle. So I think it really, in a sense, it kind of like really humbles you and brings you back to reality.
Yeah, it does.
Like it really does. But anyway, let's get started.
Let's get started.
We've been going on for a while.
What's your biggest regret? Taking public transit with really smelly people.
Thanks.
Sometimes you can't even do anything. You're just sitting there like holding you're like this.
Yeah, you can't. Sometimes sometimes it'd be like that.
And then you're looking over being like,
yeah, like is the window open? Or breathing into your hand like
oh my goodness. What's your biggest regret? Not saying yes to a dish from a doctor.
that would be a big regret for me too.
That would be a big regret. Why didn't you say yes, girl? Tell us the details.
So funny.
Also, what's this doctor's status?
What type of doctor is he?
Ooh. Sometimes when you walk into a store and you're like, should have married a doctor because I can afford this right now.
So funny.
I regret hiding things from my mom and then feeling bad about it. I should never feel bad about things.
No, you should not. Especially when it comes to hiding things from your mama. You hide nothing.
We're all guilty. Guilty. Everyone's hid things from their moms, from their dads, from their parents. That's just
our kids are going to do that to us too.
I know. I'm pretty sure like siblings probably hide things from one another too.
Oh, for sure. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, like if you got something and your sibling has already lectured you about don't spend money on this, and you went and got it anyway because you wanted it. You wanted those Guess shoes with the rhinestone.
The Guess shoes with the rhinestone.
And your sibling told you, hey, Hina, they're expensive. Mom's going to get mad. Don't buy them. What'd you do?
Hina went and bought them.
Hina went and bought them. Then you got to hide them from your sibling for a few weeks.
And then the sibling wants to steal your shoes.
Yeah, and then the sibling sees it in the closet, gets mad at you, and then says, yo, can I wear them?
Always. This happens all the time, guys. Not taking my phone in the bathroom in my Brown family.
Yo, how could you not take your phone in the bathroom?
How could you?
It's literally the only time that I have to scroll in peace.
You know what? I don't care what anyone says. Some people will be like, you guys are so disgusting. You know what? Yes, I am. Yes, I am then, because I need my phone. I need to beat level 7,000 of Candy Crush. I need to beat it. Okay?
I just need to
Trust
be on
me.
TikTok scrolling aimlessly. That's what I need to be doing.
That's
Turn
the
my
only
brain
peace and
off.
quiet we get as a mom.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you real talk right now.
Ask me.
It's
Ask
gonna
me.
show our age, but it's all good.
Okay.
What did you do when we were younger and you didn't have a phone?
Oh my God. Sometimes it would be like if they have magazines in there, how to knit a comforter or some shit like that. They have magazines in there. You're like reading through the magazines, like,
It's not like our parents had Reader's Digest or
nah.
17.
or you're just like looking around.
Yo, guys, I used to read shampoo bottles.
Oh my God. Herbal essences. The scent of the Amazonian forest.
Sit there reading them, being like, "What are all these chemicals?" And then I'd read the like proper way on how to apply shampoo because I'm like, maybe I'm not applying it correctly.
We never applied it correctly. Oh my God.
Crying,
Oh my
guys,
God.
I'm
It's
crying.
so
Wow,
true.
memory unlocked.
Why were we acting like we were some next level scientists?
You're such
Oh
fools.
my God. That's so funny.
Sometimes I think about it, I was like, what
So
if I
funny.
just like saw my little kid like reading a shampoo bottle? I would find it so funny.
Right?
Oh my God.
Like, oh my God. What a simple childhood we lived.
I know,
yo.
seriously.
For real.
And I feel like when I was older and I had a lot of like, I got into reading, I would take books
Yeah.
inside.
I would, oh my God. I remember when Harry Potter came out.
Yo,
The way I binged those books.
Twilight?
Oh my God.
Like any book I was reading, Shopaholic series.
Oh my
Sophie Kinsella has
But
my
like,
heart.
real talk here for a second, okay? Did your parents ever tell you not to read so much? Because my parents would be like, stop reading. Stop it. And here I am like, what do you mean? I thought I was supposed to be doing.
I'm crying. Literally, you guys. I was like, my mom would get so angry.
Yeah.
If I thought this was just a me thing.
No. My mom and dad would be like, what is your issue? Like you're reading in the car, you're reading at the kitchen table. But I did read a lot.
I read a lot too, and
So much.
You know why it would trigger my mom? Because I would be sitting there for hours reading, and she'd be like, "You're not doing any ghar ke kaam." She's like, "Stop reading
Facts.
and fold the laundry like I asked you to, or move the laundry from the dryer,
Then it's
from the
also
washer
like
to the dryer."
sometimes you like go to your room and you close your door because you're like, yo, I'm in this book
I'm
right
in.
now. Harry Potter is
Knee deep.
He is getting he's
slaying the snake.
He's slaying the snake, okay? And then you're in it and you're at a good part and you hear your mom screaming your name. Like, where are you? Like, you know, she's saying what she's saying, and you're sitting there like, oh my God, I'm at the best part. So you go upstairs because you're like, yo, I need some privacy to read this book. And they get so irked by it.
They do.
Meanwhile, now I'm like, read a book? Read a
Seriously.
damn book.
But do you think it's the same way how we get irked when we see kids on their phone all the time?
Oh my God.
Like, do you think I'm just comparing that generation because we didn't have phones.
Maybe.
Our parents maybe were like that with us because we were so knee deep in a book and they felt like we did not understand the outside existence because we were so in this book for hours.
Yeah.
But you know how sometimes we see kids on phones for so long, for hours, and we're just like, get off your phone. Like, you're always on your phone. Why are you always on your phone? Do you think it's the equivalent?
No, I think the equivalent of the phone would be like being on the computer.
Oh, yeah.
Like MSN, all
Oh
that
my
stuff.
God.
That
We
would be the equivalent.
We would be on the computer for hours.
Right? That to me would be the equivalent because I feel like at the end of the day, like the level of addiction with a book and a freaking phone, social media is so vastly different.
Yeah, you're right.
But I don't think that they understood like how important it is to read a book. Like if my child was like knee deep in a book, I'd be like, you keep reading that book, girl. You keep
Seriously.
reading that book, girlfriend.
I know.
So important.
It is so
Lord have
important, but I
mercy.
feel like back in the day, like, I don't know, maybe they just didn't understand.
I don't think
I
so.
also feel like our parents really did need help. I know for a fact.
They did.
My mom, when she needed the help, is when I decided to pick up the book.
Yeah.
So
I would do the
guilty
same thing.
too, because I was always doing that on purpose because I was like, oh, if I'm reading, maybe she won't call me out.
My mom would call me out regardless if I was reading or not.
Obviously, my mom would call me out. This is little old naive Uruje. 2 years ago, my grandma called me. Me not thinking anything of it, I thought I'd call her back because I was in school. When I went to my class, the teacher pulled me aside and said, "Your grandma has passed away." I will literally never forget those words ever. My stomach fell and I will never forgive myself for not picking up the phone. Just thinking of what she had to say. Maybe it was, I'm not feeling well and I could have prevented something. This is probably the biggest regret that I have.
Oh my God, that's so sad.
That's so sad.
That's so sad because I feel like there was other people that said certain things about like grandparents, parents losing a loved one. I think that's so hard, you know, like you can't really ever process it. But then I also think some things are just, I know, I get it. In the moment, there's regret, right? Like I could say the same thing about like when my dad passed away. The day before he passed away, I had called my mom and I was on the phone with my mom talking to her. And then I was like, oh, he's probably resting. And so I was like, oh, I should call him. Because I was like, oh, I should call and say hi, but then I didn't. And so sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I had called.
Right.
But I also feel like for me at this point in my life, I'm like, sometimes things just happen the way that they're supposed to happen, you know? So I think it's sad when you lose somebody, but you know, at the end of the day, like, as long as you were like good to them and like you were there in your life, like that's the most important thing, you know, that they felt your love. But everyone's experience is their own. Everyone processes grief so differently.
They do.
It's intense.
And I have to say, I do love the presence of grandparents in our lives.
So special.
So I do feel like depending on how old you were when this happened, it can definitely take a toll on kind of how you decided to cope with some of that trauma, right?
Yeah.
But it's very sad because a lot of people did DM us saying, oh, I wish I had said sorry.
Yeah.
You know, because guys, this life is really short and you just never know what's going to happen. So I think it is really important to just, sometimes we let our egos get the best of us and it's really hard to say sorry. We all know this. We're all human beings and there are some traits that all of us carry that are the exact same. Okay.
I agree. Yeah.
We all have 5 fingers and 5 toes. We also can't say sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think the difference is when you can learn to put that pride aside for a bit and apologize or even accept an apology. Sometimes when somebody has done something to you that is something you did not like, and then they realize it and came to you to apologize, but you now have a pride and ego where you can't drop it and you can't accept their apology, right?
Yeah.
That can also lead to a big regret because what if something happens or that friendship disintegrates and then you're sitting there being like, well, that person did reach out and apologize.
But then I also think, you know, and I agree with you, but then I also think sometimes when someone has really hurt you, right? If they've really done you dirty, and then they do come back and they do apologize, right? Sometimes it's just hard to accept the apology because you're like, yo, you did me so dirty. And like, you're coming here and apologizing and I appreciate that. But like, I'm so hurt by it. So maybe what it is more like you accept their apology, but you don't necessarily have to open your life up to them again. Maybe that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like maybe you can accept the apology, but still set boundaries in that relationship. I'm not saying accept the apology and be buddy again, because if somebody has hurt you to that extreme, you probably aren't ever going to open up to them anyways.
Yeah,
right. But I do think that sometimes if a person is big enough to apologize, you could just take that apology and then do what you want with it.
Yeah.
Right. But I think it goes both ways. Whether you have a problem apologizing to somebody or you have a problem accepting it, those can also lead to like regrets in life.
I think so too. I think it's like, you know, just to your point, like life is so short and fragile, like you don't know what's going to happen. So sometimes I also feel like it leads into other things where it's like, say what you need to say to people. Like tell people you love them. Just tell them. It's weird to tell your parents, but like, believe me, like when they're not there, that's when you're like, shoot, I should have said it. I should have said it.
Or I should have said it more.
Yeah, I should have said it more. Or I should have said, hey, you know what? I really love that you did that for me. Like be like appreciative of the people that are around you because honestly, life is short. Life is short. And as time passes and as busy as your life can get, I find that a lot of us can be guilty of getting numb to a lot of our emotions. Yeah.
Right? It's really hard to actually truly appreciate and then express that appreciation, right? Because you get so caught up in whatever life is throwing at
and we've
in that
never
moment.
been taught that.
We have not.
Yeah.
Right? And then sometimes I feel like the older you get, some of the regrets you can have is that you weren't expressive enough and appreciative enough.
Yeah.
And then you find yourself alone and numb to your emotions, and you don't want to be numb to your emotions. You want to feel everything you're feeling. You know, I know this is a lot of like therapy terms.
Yeah.
But you know when you're feeling sad?
Yeah.
And a lot of people tell you, sit in your sadness.
Yeah.
Don't rub it off like it's nothing. Okay. Don't brush it under the rug. Sit there, feel your sadness, because the last thing you want to do is become numb to any emotion that you feel.
Yeah.
Then you're not feeling angry. You're not feeling stressed. You're not feeling sad. You're not feeling happy. You don't understand what it means to have like fulfillness in your life
Yeah.
because you don't know how to process your emotions.
I think that's so true. But I also think like if you do that, if you're one of those people that like you have that avoidant thing where like you don't want to have the hard emotions. Like you don't want to show sadness. Even if you're a guy, like guys I think have a hard time showing the sadness because for them it's like a form of weakness, right? And unfortunately that's like societally, like society has kind of made them that way too,
Yep.
right? Family, society, a lot of things. But I think if you do numb yourself from those hard emotions, anger, sadness, frustration, whatever it is, it might not show up then, but it will always come back and show up. Like it will always come back and show up. There's no way that it won't. It might show up in like you having a complete breakdown. It might show up in so many other like parts of your life when you move forward, and at some point you're gonna have to deal with it. Like you're gonna have to deal with it. It's not ever gonna like stay away. So I was watching this, it was like a short or something, and it was Tyler Perry, Oprah, and this girl in the audience, and she was like, my dad passed away or my mom passed away or something, and then she started getting emotional and she was like, oh, I'm so sorry, like I didn't want to cry or something. And then he was like, hold on, you don't need to apologize for feeling grief because grief is going to show up in the weirdest ways. It's not a planned emotion. Just like sadness, like if you're sad about something, you don't plan to be sad. Nobody's like, today I will be sad. Like nobody's doing that. So if it shows up, it shows up. Like feel the emotion so that you can get it out of your system and process it. I think that's what it is. But we've never learned that because growing up, it was always like, stop crying.
Yeah.
Why are you so angry?
Why are you so sad?
Like, why are you so sad? Anger is a big one though, where it's like you couldn't raise your voice because that's a sign of you being rude. And it's not. Sometimes it's actually healthy to let that emotion out if you're not being, like really losing it. But I think like the reason we have the emotion is so that we can express ourselves, in a healthy way. And I think once you learn how to express it, then you're better at regulating them.
I also feel like in relationships, I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and it's like in relationships, you're not going to wake up feeling great every single day.
Yeah, you're not.
Okay. And I'm talking about any husband, wife, siblings, mom, daughter, whatever the case may be, any sort of relationship in your life, you're not ever going to wake up feeling 100% about that relationship. Okay. Regardless of what it is, regardless of how long you've been with this person, how long you've known this person. And somebody said to me that you're always going to love this person, but you're not always going to like this person. And I think it's so important for us to remember that as individuals in any form of relationship in our lives, because you can mistaken your emotions for you all of a sudden thinking you don't love this person. Yeah. But the love is there. The foundation is there. Okay. And I can even talk about this in terms of friendship. Like, let's say you and your friend wake up one morning and you need distance from your friend. It's not that you don't love your friend. Yeah. It's just you feel like maybe you're feeling something. You're not feeling 100 when you woke up, and you need some distance from your friend. You just maybe don't like that person today. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean that underlying emotion of love is not there. Yeah. And I think it's really important to understand that this is normal. Yeah. You will wake up one day not always loving your situation. Yeah. Right? But don't ever confuse it for like, don't think that that's you feeling like the foundation of your relationship is rocky. It can be sometimes. I'm not saying in all situations. Sometimes your foundation is actually rocky. Absolutely. And you're looking over being like, oh my God, what situation am I in? But generally speaking, I think growing up, instead of our parents telling us, why are you so sad? Why are you so angry? They could have just said, okay, today you're feeling this way. I understand that you're feeling this way, and that's okay. Yeah. Because maybe not the next day, but in a few days, you'll feel better. You'll be able to process what you're feeling rather than having to bottle it up so much.
That's so true. And I also feel like, to your point, life is like ebbs and flows. It's not always going to be like going up. That's just never no one's life is like that. There's always going to be good days. There's going to be bad days. There's going to be good moments, bad moments. So it is what it is. And you can't, people always say like, don't ever make rash decisions when you are like in an emotional state. Yes. Because then you just make a decision so quickly, but you haven't really been thinking clearly because you're letting your emotions get the best of you. So I think if it is something to do with like a friendship and you're feeling like, oh, you know what, like she said this to me and I didn't really like what she said, so she must not be a good friend, you know, because that happens sometimes. That happens with siblings. Okay. So if you feel that way, like I think you really have to give it a moment and like be clear about it. And honestly, instead of just thinking you're some oracle and you know what the future holds and what your friend's intention was, ask your friend. Ask your friend. She's your friend. You should be able to be like, hey, like what? I just want to clarify. And I know it's a hard conversation, but like open communication.
And honestly, nine times out of 10, you'll feel much better.
I think so too.
Even though I know the buildup is what gets people scared.
Yeah,
of
it is the
having
buildup.
because you end up, you know, when in your mind when you have to talk to somebody about something, and then you're thinking about all the things,
worst case scenario,
all the ways that this conversation can go wrong, right? And a lot of the times in our life, we've been told have zero expectations. Or think of the worst case, so that at the end of the day, when you have the conversation, generally you're okay.
That's so true. Yeah.
And you know, I grew up a lot like that. I would always think of worst case.
Me too.
And then I would have a conversation with someone, or something will happen, and I'll be like, okay, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Right? But now I'm thinking, the anxiety and depression I would be in thinking about all the ways that this conversation is going to go to hell. Okay.
Oh my God.
Whereas I could have just been like,
calm.
I'm not going to think about it.
Yeah.
Let me turn my brain off for a second. Let me have the conversation first.
Yeah.
And then maybe if it all went down, okay, I could be like, hey, listen, this conversation isn't going the way I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a break from it and I'll come back and we can revisit this conversation.
And like you are more than capable of dealing with the issue if it happens.
Yeah.
Right. So I think, man, girl, that really struck a chord with me because I was 100% I'm like that.
I'm
like,
still
it's
like that.
I am too. And you have to be like very like intentional with how you think.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I got to stop that train of thoughts. Even like when you go to the doctor, you're like, oh my God, I'm getting a call from the doctor. And you're like thinking of every worst case scenario. But then at the end of the day, if the worst case scenario happens, you're still going to have to deal with it. So why are you like stressing all the way up until the worst case scenario happens? That might not even happen. Right. So I think that's such a good point, man.
It's like when you get blood work done.
Yeah.
Okay. And then your doctor is calling you being like, hey, I need you to come back. And you're freaking out because you're like, what did you find?
Yeah.
What did you find?
Oh
Guys,
my
9 times out of 10, they just need you to swipe that health card.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's generally like, your vitamin D is low.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like,
vitamin D is
seriously?
freaking low. B12.
B12 is
Eat
low. Your
more meat.
iron is low. Hello, every brown girl.
Yeah.
Iron humari hai nahi. Okay. Guys, this is 9 times out of 10. That's what it is.
It really is.
Okay. Unfortunately, sometimes it's not. But the way that you work it up in your head, as if she's going to be like, you are dying in 3 hours.
Yeah. But I think people use it as like, it's like a protective mechanism, right? You protect yourself because you're like, oh, if I mentally think about it, then I can mentally prepare myself for this, and this reaction. That's what I think.
I know, but it's not good because
it's not.
Then you're driving and you're spiraling.
Girl, you're spiraling. It's so bad.
So I feel like I'm just trying to stop that. Okay. And I can give a small example. I had to do this mindfulness activity. Okay. And I know a lot of us are guilty of being like, mindfulness is a bunch of hocus pocus. I understand. Okay. I am very much like that too. But guys, I really sat there and I was like, I'm going to do this 5-minute mindfulness activity. And it was like a guided mindfulness activity. Okay. So I'm sitting there and it's just this lady talking and telling you to kind of let go of all your thoughts and understand your surroundings. And it was like a very use your 5 senses as you are doing this. So what do you hear?
Yeah.
What are you feeling? What do you see? Are you tasting anything? Like it was asking you to do that in the guided mindfulness activity. Okay. And at the end of it, the 5 minutes were up. I really like tuned everything out and I participated. Okay. Yeah. And then the person who was leading it like brought everybody back in the room and was like, how are you guys feeling? What did you notice about yourself?
Yeah.
And I put my hand up and I said, my brain never turns off.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And literally, like if there were 12 people, 11 of them put their hand up and being like, yeah, exactly. And I think we're just so guilty of being go all the time where you, even when you're trying to do something like a mindfulness activity, your mind is running in 900 different directions. The tabs are endless in your mind. We need to learn to close these tabs.
Yeah, we do. And you know what? It goes back to that whole thing where we've been taught that you have to be busy all the time.
Yes.
It's also this perfectionism thing where it's like, I got to accomplish this task. I still got to be a good mom. I got to have the career. I got to be able to be a great wife. And you have 50 million things that you're like, go. The world we live in. Like it's everything. How do I time? Okay, so it's rush hour now. I should leave at this time to get. You're thinking of 12 million things. But it's so important to actually like calm your mind,
Yeah.
calm your thoughts, and just be present in the moment.
Honestly, it's so hard, and
It's
it
so
takes so much work.
Yeah.
I really like the five senses thing because I feel like it really got me to think about what I'm actually feeling in that moment, which was nice. But I do have to say, like my mind was not turning off.
I feel like I would be the same. Wait, I think people also use the five senses thing when they have anxiety because it takes you from like going to, for example, let's say you have health anxiety and you're thinking of one specific thing. And then in that moment, you're having like a panic attack. Okay. But then when you take a moment and you're like, okay, what are like, take a few deep breaths and like, what are like five things that I can see in front of me? And you actually say it out loud. Like, oh, I see a table. I see like this. I see that. I feel like by the end of it, you really do have a little bit more of a shift and you are a little bit more present. So I think that's probably why they teach you that because it does make a difference.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like living in a post-COVID world, as much as COVID took a toll on everyone's lives, we all know this and the studies are going to show even more. I find that COVID really brought a slower pace in life.
I think so too.
I miss it.
I miss it too. I mean, I don't miss isolation.
I don't miss isolation, but I do feel like a lot of people just slowed down, realizing that we don't have to be so go all the time because like, where are we actually going?
Yeah. And even like work wise, a lot of like people were working from home. And I think that also gives you time to just not be so just in that hamster wheel of like, I got to drive to downtown Toronto, sit in traffic for 3 hours, go on the train, do this, do that. Like you're more like just, okay, like this is just the way it is now, you know, like this is just what we're doing. We're making 1 million sourdough starters. Hey, we're making banana breads today and tomorrow.
And the whipped coffees.
Yeah.
The
drank Dalgona coffee.
Guys, I drank so much of that.
Really?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. And then when it sold out, I was like, where's my instant coffee?
Oh my goodness.
Good. So good. My biggest regret is not taking as many photos and trying to live in the moment. It was very nice at the time because you can experience everything and not worry about your phone, etc. But now when that person is no longer here, you feel like you have nothing to look back on as much as you have the memories in your head. But paper/phone, you don't have those memories. I miss that.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm guilty of this because I feel like I'm trying to put my phone away in certain situations so I can live in the moment. But as I'm getting older, my brain retention is only so much and I don't remember those moments anymore. And then I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I had my camera.
You know what though, if you think about it, like our parents would use cameras and they would have like film and they would they would get it developed and everything. I don't find that to be a big issue. I understand that it's important to be in the moment in certain scenarios and like I know that we all should try more to do that. Yeah. But I also think there's something beautiful about creating memories. Like you should have some like pictures and videos of things too. Like even our children.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I cannot record all that stuff in my head. There's way too many things. So I'm so glad that I have something in my hand that I can record memories and have these videos that I look back on. I'm like, oh my God. You know, like I remember that.
Same.
Or like moments with friends. Like when we went to the Backstreet Boys concert.
That was so fun.
Girl. Okay. It was like one of the best concerts I've ever been to.
Guys, it was, okay, first of all, I was 6 weeks postpartum.
Ooh,
and I was
you
like,
tracked it out.
And I was like messaging these girls. I was like, guys, am I going to be okay? Is this shirt going to fit me? Because Hina got us custom shirts. Of course, your girl would get us custom shirts. She hooked it up. Okay. And I was like, and then it fit. And I messaged them. I was like, y'all, the t-shirt fits. I'm ready to go. Let's go. We're there. We're making videos, okay? Nobody's internet is working because the whole venue is packed, okay? But we're just making videos. We're singing our head off. We're having the time of our lives. Guess who shows up on stage?
Guess who shows up?
And you know how he shows up? He says, guys, we're missing the 6th Backstreet Boy. Ooh. And I looked over and I said, guys, it's Drake.
She did say it.
Because I recognize his voice. And he comes on stage and the way, I should have probably been in like the Toronto Star being like, girl loses her head because Drake shows up at a Backstreet Boys concert.
It was gone.
I did.
I
kept
her body was
the
there.
whole audience was quiet. He's giving some story about how he like had some girl and then danced with her with the Backstreet Boys song. And I wasn't paying attention. I was just screaming my head off. I love you, Drake. Drake. Oh, come over here. And we're so far away. He didn't even know
I can attest to this story right here.
It was madness.
But you know what? in that moment, I was like, she was meant to be there.
I was.
She's like the biggest Drake fan.
Facts.
Okay. And I was like, this girl, it was all of this was meant to be. All of this was meant to be.
I was on a high.
It was so great. We had such a great night, man.
You know
Such a
what?
great night.
The best concerts are the ones of people that you are true fans of. Like, you know, when you know
You know the songs.
you know the songs, you know the unpublished songs. You know the ones that aren't you know the YouTube releases. That's when you go to a concert and when you're a diehard fan of someone is when you truly enjoy that concert.
I think so too.
And I feel like that's exactly what this concert
It was just such a vibe. It was so vibey. It was really nice.
Guys, it was the best concert of my life.
Oh, it was so fun.
I've been to a few good ones.
She was getting a little too lit for being 6 months.
Yo,
six weeks. 6 weeks.
Guys, I was 6 weeks postpartum. It was crazy.
We had so much fun.
So much fun. No regrets.
No regrets at all.
You come home and then you feed your kid and you go back to sleep.
But if we didn't have the memories, like I look back on that now and I'm like, oh my God, sweetest time.
Right?
It was epic. It was so epic.
And then look at the videos and I'm just like, oh my God, this was such a fun concert.
It is. And you know what? To that point that she was making about like people not being here, guys, like I'm not gonna lie, like there's times when I look back at pictures of my dad and I'm like, oh my God, I made all these videos. And my siblings still say that to me, like, girl, you have so much stuff with like your dad in it, like dad in it, so much. And I'm like, that's just who I am, yo. I like taking videos and pictures.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
And then you look back and you can reminisce, right?
Yeah.
I understand. I think this is like a double-edged sword.
It is.
Because I definitely feel like it is nice to be in the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, like when you have kids and when you're doing all these things, sometimes it's nice to also have memories on your phone.
For sure. I think so.
Biggest regret ever. In the Desi culture, we're often taught to be polite and courteous. It's a good way to conduct yourself, of course, but it also turned me into someone who wasn't able to stand up for myself and became a bit of a people pleaser. There are definitely situations I regret not being able to put people in their place. And now that I'm older, I'm trying to unlearn this or at least balance it out. A lot of you guys messaged us talking about
The people pleasing.
yeah, and just being able, you have to conduct yourself a certain way in society, which you already talked about.
Yeah.
But then having to unlearn it now when you're older.
Yeah, I think that's just, it's like but I don't even know if it's a Desi experience. I think it's like a collective human experience at times. I don't know.
think
Is it
depends
like
on
more
the culture
Desi?
because I know our Desi culture has specifically
It does
made it
overdo
seem like
it.
women are supposed to be a certain way. And
polite.
I guess like if you look at, for example, like Bridgerton
Yeah.
and that time, they
thing.
also portrayed that.
Yeah, they did. Like you're supposed to be seen and not heard kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know? I think it's still hard though, because even when you do build the confidence and you are able to say something to someone,
Yeah.
the amount of guilt you feel after. Like we've talked about this, girl.
Seriously.
Then you come home and you're like, should I have? I should have just left it. I should have just left it.
Now they're
You
just
know?
going to say, "Ki kitni badtameez hai."
Yeah, and this also happens in friendships sometimes too, where like you say something and you're like, no, like I did not appreciate this. So I said it. I said what I said. Okay. And then like a little while later, you're like, oh yeah, but did I ruin my friendship by saying this?
Yeah.
But then I still think if you have a good friend and you're being honest about something without being like, you don't have to be like a really mean in saying it. You just have to be straightforward and say things, you know?
I feel like we also get in our head a lot with certain things where you think, am I making a big deal out of this? And I think for me personally, that's a little bit of where the unlearning needs to happen because I'm constantly letting things go or not standing up for myself because I think I'm just making a big deal.
It's like you gaslight yourself, yo.
You do gaslight yourself.
Gaslighting ourselves here.
Then you're going to bed at night and your mind is like, am I making a big deal? Maybe I'm not. But I didn't like this, but it hurt my feelings. But now I'm also crying. But now I'm angry.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think sometimes you have to say things.
Yeah.
Because I think if you don't say certain things, like if someone is being really disrespectful to you, or sometimes it's not even disrespectful, sometimes it's just, they might not verbally be disrespectful, but they might be like taking advantage of your time. Okay. They might be like doing certain things where you're like, I'm going out of my way for you all the time. Like reciprocate the energy. You know what I mean? And they're not doing that for you. So sometimes you can say those things. Like you can be like, hey friend, you know what? Like I've done this so many times. So like, could you do this for me now? You know what I mean? Things like that. I think you can say it. You can be diplomatic and say it in the right way. And I think the guilt feeling, it goes away with time when you have gotten better at consistently saying those things.
Yeah.
But it's very hard
It's
because,
very hard.
again, never taught to us. We were always taught to like be quiet, polite, don't say anything back to anyone, don't speak back to your elders.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, yo, the elders, when they say things that are so out of pocket, you're like, I don't want to say anything back. But now I'm also at a point where you're like, no, if I don't say something back, are my kids going to think that it's okay to do this? Right?
You nailed it.
Like, do you want your kids to be the people pleaser that you are? Like, you want them to just do the same thing? But we also do this to our kids too, where we're like, why are you talking back?
Oh.
No headache.
I feel like there are certain things like, you know what it is? I think I'm just slowly understanding that, listen, my kids they're little beings with big emotions.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think I'm just understanding to accept a lot of the emotions.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I feel like the emotion is getting a little bit out of hand, or it's, you know, my child needs assistance in processing it, then
Yeah.
I will do that. A lot of the times though, I am also learning that, like, for example, if they're angry at someone, okay, and I genuinely know that they're angry because it takes them a while to get there. So that means this person has actually been angering them.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then my child retaliates. Okay. And let's say my child kicks this person.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not really going to go back and be like, why did you kick this person?
I understand.
And there are going to be certain times in my life when I'm going to know if my kids started it or if they were pushed to do it.
Yeah.
And I think you know your kids best in that situation.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're going to know when to have a talk with your kids and when to step back and be like, okay, let them defend themselves. They were clearly angry.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming. And so the result is now my child kicked this person.
Yeah.
Let's just see how it goes.
You know, sometimes what I find hard, it's like when someone approaches you and is like, hey, like let's say it's a teacher,
Yeah.
right? They're like, hey, you know, your child had a hard day today and he got into a little bit of an altercation with this friend of his, right? And they're like, oh, like he pushed him or like he bit him or whatever happened, right? And then you see your child with the biggest grin on his face and you're just like,
But that's what I mean.
and
Like,
then you're like, do I say something to you? Because, you know, we've been taught, like, if our parents had come into school and our teacher had said, oh, Hina bit somebody, my mom would look at me like, did you bite somebody? Get over here right now. Did you bite somebody? You know, like, she would call me out.
I know.
And then you have to unlearn that because, like, it's a natural thing for us to be like, did you do that today? But sometimes you, like, have to sit and be like, we can take a moment to process this and, like, maybe have that conversation later.
You know what? I'm going to give some like education
Yes,
advice right
please
now.
do.
Okay. Because if a teacher comes to you and says that to you,
Yeah.
and you know that your son and the other person that, let's say your son kicked, okay, you know that they've been having back and forth for a while now.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to look at the educator and be like, is it serious? Do I need to talk to my child about it?
Oh.
Right. And just try and diffuse the situation even before looking at your child. Okay. Get the full story from the educator. If it's like, hey, listen, like he was provoked.
Yeah.
And this was a response, then you look at the educator and be like, do I need to have a talk with my child?
Yeah.
Okay. Or do you think that because it was provoked, I can kind of let it slide? Have an open conversation with the person who's
like
coming
that.
and talking to you about
like
it, right?
that. I like that.
Or if it's like my child was actually in the wrong, okay? Like he just got angry because that other child was not sharing a toy.
Yeah.
Then you're like, don't worry, I will speak to my child.
Yeah.
Then remove your child from the situation.
Yeah.
Get them in the car seat or when you're walking home and then just be like, hey, listen, I understand sometimes when you get angry,
Yeah.
maybe we can do these
Yeah.
things that will help you calm down. Right?
Love that.
And then go back to the educator the next day and be like, I spoke to my son. We decided that he's going to drink a sip of water and take like 4 deep breaths.
Yeah.
So can you please make sure he does that in class when you see something like this happening?
Y'all, did you hear what she said? Drink your water.
Drink
Take
your
a
water,
sip.
take a deep breath.
I feel like I need to do that.
Do you know how many TikToks come up on my For You page where men are complaining about their girlfriends, being like, she'll be so tired, she'll be like angry, she'll feel all of those emotions. And I look over and I'll be like, did you even have any water today? And she'll be like, no, I didn't. And then
Did
they'll
you
look
take
at
a nap?
yeah. And they'll look at the camera being like, women, can you please drink water and have some food? Coffee and chai don't count.
Yeah.
We're guilty. Guilty.
It's also like the taking of the nap. The way, I'm not a napper, but I love
Same.
sleeping. But if I got a nap in, I would be on cloud 9.
Me too.
Oh, sweetness.
I don't remember the last time I napped.
I don't either.
If you guys are nappers, don't let go of this habit, okay?
It's going to re-energize, revitalize, rejuvenate.
All the R's.
Yeah. Okay, guys, so that was our episode for today. It was a little bit of like a heartwarming, deep episode. You got to know a little bit about Uruje and I. And make sure you guys subscribe to our channel. Follow us on socials. Guys, please give us that 5-star on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.